Hi, I'm Cameron Christie, and I'm going to be explaining and representing not only mine, but my family's place in Canadian history and how they came to Canada. My great-grandmother was named Doja Calchos. She was born in 1912 and passed away in 1971. She was born in a small town called Dranoveni, which was isolated in the mountains in the northern part of Greece. She lived there with the rest of her relatives and started to raise a family of her own. Her first daughter was named Jean Calchos, which is my grandma's older sister. Doja raised Jean by herself in an extremely small village with no power, facilities, running water, or medical services. When my Aunt Jean was born, there was no hospitals anywhere close to them, so she had to give birth to her in a small room all by herself. My great-grandmother was able to raise my Aunt Jean until she was 8, when they started to run into trouble within their village. The Greco-Turkish War started in 1897 and didn't finish until 1922. This war started because there were arguments between Turkey and Greece over where the borders would be for the start of World War II, as well as the conditions of smaller islands in Greece. The very first attack from the Turkish went right through my grandmother's village, and just about the entire village had been brutally wiped out. My great-grandma and grandma's sister were able to escape to another village in Greece, but that wouldn't be safe enough while World War II was about to start. My great-grandfather had left Greece and came to Canada to look for work in the early 1920s. He had moved right after his arranged marriage, which happened when he was 16 at the time, and did not see my grandma's sister until she was about 8 years old. He had started a life in Canada so that if need be, his family had somewhere safe to go. So lucky enough, my great-grandmother and Aunt Jean were able to escape from the war and start a new life in Canada. On August 22nd, 1939, my grandma's older brother was born, and on January 24th, 1946, my grandma, Kathy Christie, was born. She and her brother were both born in East General Hospital and grew up in East York. Growing up in Canada, her parents did not speak any English, making it difficult to get around. They maintained typical traditions including the food they ate, the games they played, as well as how they treated each other at home. Her mother and father had come all the way to Canada just to give their growing family the chance of a safe life. To this day, my grandma still talks to me and my sister about her Greek/Macedonian heritage and how much it truly means to her. She tells us stories of her childhood, and she teaches us homemade recipes my great-grandma had come up with and made from scratch. She has many pictures around the house of her mother and sister from when they lived in Greece, as well as her and her siblings when they were growing up. My grandma and aunt went and traveled all the way to Macedonia just so that she could go see the exact village her ancestors had grew up and lived in. And this is my place in Canadian history.